Hey, Jim White here with RealityCheck. I hope you're holding up well in our strangely quarantined world these days. And on that note, what I wanted to talk about today was consumer insights in this coronavirus moment. This thing has affected our lives and our work in ways that we never could have anticipated at the beginning of the year. And a lot of the consumer insights folks that we deal with are trying to make a decision right now about what projects to field now and what projects that they had planned for the year maybe they should hold off on until things normalize. So what I wanted to do today was give you a framework for making that decision, a framework for helping you decide what do we field now and what maybe are the projects that we should wait on until some point in the future. So with that, let's dive in. So I think deciding what projects to field now and what projects to hold off on basically boils down to two primary factors. One is timing, and the other is disruption. Timing is basically thinking about when will the insights from your project be activated? When will the organization that you work for use those insights? In the near term, within the next 12 months or so, or the long term? Is this something that's going to be implemented on an ongoing basis for the next year, 5 years, 10 years even? Disruption is basically how disrupted has your business been by the coronavirus crisis. And I see disruption happening in three main areas. There's disruption that's affecting supply, production, and logistics. There's also disruption that's happening with demand, asking yourself whether consumers are demanding your brand any more or less because of the coronavirus moment. Secondly, channel. Are consumers accessing your brand differently now than they have been before? Obviously, e-commerce is the big thing here. And then finally, has there been disruption in the relationship people have with your brand? Does your brand mean something different to them now in the coronavirus moment than it did perhaps in the past? These two factors, when taken together, can give us a nice framework for making decisions about what projects to field now and what projects to wait on. Now, let's start with those projects that are probably a definite no in this environment. If you're in a highly disrupted business and you're looking at long-term projects, you're probably going to want to hold off on those. These are things like segmentation studies that your organization is going to be using for the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years even. These would also include things like foundational research for positioning or repositioning brands. Again, things that the organization is going to be living with for a while. And foundational research for pipeline innovation that might lead to new product innovation over the next several years. Those are the types of projects I think that highly disruptive businesses should hold off on. Now, sticking with those highly disruptive businesses, how about the near term? Well, there you're probably going to want to move forward, particularly if those near-term projects have anything to do with exploring why the coronavirus moment is affecting your brand and what to do about it. So here, I would think these projects would include things like developing messaging strategy and optimizing messaging strategy that you're going to be rolling out in the next 12 months or so. Communications with your consumers in this moment. Certainly, it would also include agile research for new product innovation. So if there are things that you're considering getting out into the marketplace to either take advantage of the coronavirus moment or to stem the tide of business losses that you're having, certainly those things you would want to move forward with. Now, those businesses that haven't been disrupted that much, if they're near-term projects that are going to be activated in the near term, there's absolutely no reason to hold off on those projects. And again, messaging strategy, agile research for product innovation, and also any research to deal with the current moment environment, you absolutely should be moving forward with that. Sticking again with those low disruption businesses, long-term projects, I would say consider. Move forward with those projects unless there's some reason to believe that your customer's relationship with your brand has changed, or whether their change in mindset might cause different responses, different emotions, different values, different motivations now than it might a year from now or 2 years from now when the current crisis has passed. So that should give you some idea of a framework for working through this decision, yes or no. Think about whether your business has been disrupted by this moment, and think about when these insights are going to be used, and that can help you kind of work through the math of whether to execute a project now or not. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to talk about is qualitative research that typically is done in a face-to-face setting. Sort of one other category of projects you might be thinking, now, wait a minute, I can't do that, so obviously I'm going to have to hold off. The first thing I would say is that when it comes to qualitative research, there are plenty of digital options out there these days that allow you to execute what you may have been planning to do face-to-face now through digital means. So streaming or webcam interviews replacing face-to-face IDIs, live remote ethnography replacing live in-person ethnography, and activity-based qualitative studies can be executed through digital platforms that oftentimes can get you deeper results, better results than you might have gotten through some traditional methodology like face-to-face focus groups or that sort of thing. So there are options out there in the world of qual that will enable you to move forward with those qualitative projects that you may be thinking you had to wait on. There you have it, a framework for making a decision about what to field now, what to hold off on. As always, we'd love to know what you think about this. Feel free to comment and let us know what projects maybe you're dealing with right now and how you're making the decision about whether to hold off or whether to move forward and how you're making that decision. Once again, I'm Jim White with RealityCheck. Hope you found this interesting. Until next time, be safe.